welcome you to the KFC Young Center. Thanks, ladies. Notre Dame and Penn comes to a conclusion as the 16th ranked Louisville Cardinals open up ACC play against the Blue Devils, who had a big win over Boston College while they were at home. These are a couple of the starting lineups for Louisville. As you can see, we mentioned off the top a couple of the transfers that have come in. Grad transfers have been a big thing for Louisville this season. 3 of them are in the starting rotation. Sydney Taylor, one of them as well, the transfer from UMass, finds Harris dishing to the bucket and doesn't get the bucket to go, but gets fouled in the meantime, and that's something very impressive to start the game, because the length of Duke can really intimidate some teams as they are at the top of the ACC in blocks.
Yeah, top shot blocking team, but you know what that means. That's opportunity to get to the free throw line, and this, Angel, this is a Louisville team that makes more free throws significantly than their opponent's attempt.
Can't knock down the first one, but as you look at the left side of your screen, you can see what they have been able to do from the charity stripe, taking advantage of their opportunities as the second one is drained by Harris. Seeing a little bit of the three-quarter court pressure from Louisville to start. Here's your Duke starting 5. Jaden Donovan has been absolutely impressive in her freshman season as Tiana Mayer. We already previewed what she was able to do last year coming from Boston College. Led the league in assists, and we'll get into the talent we've seen, the youth movement in the ACC. A little bit too much contact on that play. It will stay with Louisville. So we mentioned just this, the production loss. Duke with 11 players who either transferred or graduated, Louisville with 10. But one thing that I remember about them saying, we don't rebuild, we reload, especially for Louisville. And the way that they've been able to do that is through the veteran type of player coming out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, these were all players, Angel, from their respective conferences, programs that they were in. They were leading scorers, players of their conference. I mean, this is just elite caliber players that Coach Walz has been able to bring into the program.
Kennedy Brown able to put Duke on the board as the last bucket for Louisville came from Kiki Jefferson. I like how you teed it up a little bit. You said if you like offense, Kiki is leading that department as far as the show. Oluchi Akanawa with the double dribble there.
Now, this is a young Blue Devil team, but they're not shy to high-level competition as they had a very tough non-conference schedule. But it'll be interesting to see when you talk about the difference. You have vets on the Louisville end, even though they're transferring in, versus the babies that you have with the Blue Devils.
Sydney Taylor, 15 on the shot clock, pulls the trigger and knocks it down. That's just her second 3 in the last 4 games, has struggled from deep. Just 1 for 15, a good sign for Louisville to see that one go down.
Yeah, she struggled, but an absolute capable three-point shooter.
Kennedy outside, turns down the 3. And another one! How about the impressive play from the freshman? Oluchi has been unbelievable. Talked about the energy bunny. As you can see, almost comes up with the steal on the other end. I love how her teammates talk about her. She said, as soon as she checks into the ball game, we just know we're going to get a burst of energy. We're going to get everything. She's going to leave everything on the floor.
Oh, yeah, and her energy is contagious. When she's out on the floor, you see that energy just exuberate throughout the entire team.
Kara Lawson in her 4th season with Duke, tied for 2nd in the ACC last year. Has had an impressive start. One of the toughest schedules to start this season in the country as Mayer had to regather, but able to finish at the glass. And
this is exactly what Duke wants to do, get those buckets in transition. Transition offense is their staple. It's their bread and butter.
Seen a lot of 3s attempted so far for both sides. Duke thought they were able to corral that one in. It will stay with Louisville.
And for Louisville, you don't want to settle for those outside shots. They want to keep attacking downhill, attacking the paint, drawing fouls, getting to the free throw line. Don't shy away from that length that Duke presents.
That one no good for Sydney from outside. The dish pass on the inside, broken up by Taylor. Mayer on the inside, able to finish on that one as Jaden Donovan now on the board.
Well, Duke just doing a great job defensively, forcing outside shots and then converting on the other end.
Duke has now made their last 4 attempts on the offensive end. This is a team that has been very impressive. We saw them in the first half against Boston College, shot a whopping 70% in the first half from the floor.
Yeah, Boston College just undersized, played a lot of zone and just had no answer. Great ball movement for Duke, and then Brown was really impressive to me with the assist, just being able to pass it around. And we talked about it, Angel, how well she's been doing productively on the offensive end in her last few games.
Delaney Thomas checks in for Duke. Donovan goes to the bench after she picked up that last foul. Olivia Cochran, baseline, gives the fist pump. Likes what she's seeing from the baseline.
Yeah, this is the matchup that I love to see, Cochran and Brown. And Cochran expanding her game, and I love that she's able to really knock down that short jumper consistently, and something that's needed when you're going up against a shot blocker.
Lucia Kana was at the top of the key looking for some help on the side from Reagan Richardson, but Taylor took a nasty spill on the other end.
Yeah, pass around the perimeter, great ball movement and post up here for Cochran, and she sizes Brown up and says, hey, you're not gonna get a hand up on me, I can knock it down.
Early 2 assists, or 2 assists on their 3 made field goals, so it's one thing that Jeff Walz has mentioned about his team, what he's most proud about is the chemistry that they've been able to build early in the season. He said, we share the ball well. There's a little bit of the sharing. Taylor at the rim gets it to fall.
I mean, you can attribute that all to maturity. You have transfers that came in, but they're grown. They played this game. Lots of maturity coming in. They play well together. They've had experience playing in Canada in the summer.
So Nyla Harris picks up her first personal foul. To a couple of substitutions for both sides. The Cards goes to the bench for Louisville. You see Emma Cable check in. Cable checks in off the mark for her first attempt. I was gonna say, it didn't take her much time to say, hey, just, you know where to get the ball. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
Duke does best.
Duke does well, yep. Applying that pressure.
But gives it right back. One too many steps at the top of the key by Mayer as Duke has 4 turnovers. Sydney Taylor, not in a slump for long as she has a nice look at the rim to give her team the 2-point lead.
When you're great, you're
Cardinals. You can look at this being their 12th meeting. Duke actually won the last game. That was back in Durham, actually on New Year's Day.
Oh,
so
wow.
very similar.
Yeah, very similar.
But on the other hand, the Cardinals have won 5 of their last 6. But the most impressive stat that really stood out to me about what Louisville does at home is that they are 52-0 in ACC play against unranked opponents. And it's weird to say unranked opponents and apply that to Duke. But this is a team that is in that situation at this point as we look at Jeff Walz in his 17th season in. You almost look at BC, Jeff Walz. It's like, it's unbelievable what he's done with this program. 15 Sweet 16s. He was in the Elite 8 as well in last season. Very rare era when you're looking at them just coming off of a game where they played another Elite 8 team in Miami, as we are now at 6 seconds left. On the shot clock, turn over Jefferson at the rim and converts for 2.
Yeah, this is where Duke has really struggled, is with turnovers. They already have 5 total turnovers, in which Louisville scored 5 off of those.
Duke has 3 turnovers in the last 2 minutes of play. This is a team also, while they were able to escape and get a win, nice finish at the rim for Okonowa.
Okonowa is just so athletic. That first step is just so quick.
So going back to that Boston College win, a recent win, Duke said, hey, we were lucky to get out of that with a win, and that was something that came back together. 28 turnovers is something they want to improve on, but Okonowa just impressive. Just so many things she does so well.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. You improve the turnovers, value possessions. You're not allowing Louisville to get easy buckets in transition, and that's what both teams want to do. They want to turn you over, and they want to convert on the other end.
Okonowa, one of those players that is averaging double figures. Duke, a big story coming into this season is the balance that they've had as Mayer steps up. Back iron too strong. Taylor comes down with the rebound.
And you talked about how Duke is unranked, but again, this is a different team. They've got lots of babies, and we'll kind of talk about it later. But you talk about the upside, the potential, the building of this program, what Carol Lawson has in store for us. It's incredible.
Kimby Brown able to block Jefferson at the rim. Second attempt, Cochran lays that one in.
And I love it. You stay with the play. You know Duke's a shot blocking team, but how about it? Got to get back in transition.
The touch pass by Kennedy Brown to Okonowa. Kennedy Brown, one of those facilitators that you wouldn't think of, but piecing things together for Duke, just down 2.
Okay, when you turn around, you're gonna see some more.
You have a turkey and cheese.
Let's imagine that LL Cool J has a bubble around him. Do we want to be inside? There are some situations that young homeowners turning into their parents just can't handle.
Yep, there he is. There's my nephew. Now, I got a video of him playing piano.
That's not how you take a selfie.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto with us.
3, 2, 1.
We don't need a countdown. Just take the picture.
Welcome back. Well, it's really been impressive to see what Oluchi Okonowa has been able to do in her freshman season. Just recently named an impact freshman for ESPN as well. 7 games in double figures.
Yeah, absolutely. Just electric off the bench. She has 7 of Duke's 13 points, and she averages 10 a game, so she's already on track for that, just now coming off the bench.
Look at the defense. Oh, Jefferson, but a little bit too much to handle. And she just builds on that 2,000 mark.
I mean, listen, this is Kiki Jefferson. This is Mrs. 2000. It's a tough guard.
Grad transfer coming over from James Madison, finding success early in Louisville with the Cardinals. Said it's been an adjustment, understanding every single night you're being tested by some of the best talent in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're doing at your other program, scoring, coming from that conference, you're in a high caliber ACC conference, so the scoring's gonna be just a little bit different, just a little bit tougher. You're going against people that are just a little bit quicker.
Okonowa off the mark at the top of the key. So both teams shooting pretty well from the floor. Duke starting off 46% from the field, and Louisville not too far, 46.7. We pretty much said this at the beginning of the game, though. We said the tail of the tape is very similar, but as far as teams that need to kind of build the separation, Jeff Walz said we have to make sure that we don't turn the ball over. So far, they just have 3. Duke has 5. But he said we also have to understand how to get things done together defensively. We'll see if they can continue to get that done throughout this ball game.
Actually, Duke applying a little bit of pressure now.
Near steal. Jada Curry pulls this one out. Working baseline, blocked by 2 players from Duke.
We talked about it. This is a shot blocking Duke team, and how about it? Curry coming in, but how about it? 2, not 1, but 2 Duke players coming in and saying, nope, not today.
Richardson read that like a book at the rim, gets that one to fall. 2-point ball game once again with 1:23 left in the first quarter.
Yeah, you got to watch those passes. Lots of length around that perimeter for Duke defense.
Marissa Russell on the other end with the response, and the reach-in foul will go against Louisville. All right, well, Saturday afternoon right here on ACC Network, we'll have our first basketball triple header of the new year. Virginia takes on NC State to start us off at 2 Eastern. Then Florida State hosts Virginia Tech, and finally 14th ranked Duke and Notre Dame square off in South Bend. That's a lot of nice basketball, but we've got a great one here as we're in the last minute of play in the first quarter between Duke and Louisville.
And Louisville switching things up now in a zone.
Reagan off the bounce, looking for some space. Not a lot of time on the shot clock, coughs it up. Love, gotta love it. Aaliyah Love with her first bucket of the ball game. I do believe that's an illegal screen that's going to go against Thomas. That was just signaled, so it will go back to Louisville. Maj Forsberg, Jeffrey Smith, and Brandon Innerline on the call for tonight. Cardinals can hold for the last shot of this quarter. The Cards off the bounce, going at Mayer. Sends it up top. 3 ball off the mark, and that will bring the first quarter to a close with the Cardinal up 21-15. Jefferson take.
I mean, just such a great person, great player. You know, I've had some of his former teammates that are here today come up. They came out to the game today and came up and talked to me, gave me a hug. So just feel so much love here, being at Ellison in the Yum Center.
I thought it was really cool, you looking up at the raster, seeing your father's name, but the one thing we got to make sure you got right is how to say Louisville. It's not Louisville, it's Louisville.
Louisville.
Top of the key, Kennedy Brown hovered. Early dish on the inside. And Jaden Donovan couldn't hold on to it. So we're used to seeing the tenacious defense from Duke. And on the other side, Louisville actually taking a page out and saying, we want to be better on that end of the floor as well.
No, absolutely. And Duke's really got to clean it up, because those turnovers, that's what's really led Louisville to be able to convert on the offensive end.
That's the 8th turnover for Duke. Taylor tied up, so this one will actually go. They signaled back to Duke when we heard Louisville, but it is going to go to Duke. Louisville with 9 points off of those Duke turnovers, the 8 turnovers as well.
I mean, just look at the pressure that Ricards, I know she was called for the foul there, but just the heavy pressure being applied there around the perimeter.
So Ricards picks up her first personal, but you gotta love almost that heat check. Like, you're gonna feel our presence throughout this ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a player that transferred from Florida, where her defense was key. She was one of the best perimeter defenders on that Florida Gators squad where she came from.
Another 1,000-point scorer in her own right. Second in scoring while she was at Florida, averaged 12 points. Her career high as well.
Oh, you got to get into Cochran.
Cochran, deep seal. Let's see what she does. It takes like 3 different players to see if they can prevent Cochran from using her body in the paint.
And she's got such nice size, great build, lots of strength.
And that'll be another turnover, a bad angle at the top of the key, trying to get the ball there, but Jackson points to her chest and says, that's my fault. And that was something that Kara Lawson was talking with us about, just understanding the freshmen, while they're taking strides, there's still moments where you say, relax, you know, we're gonna get this done together. And so just going through the growing pains as well with just a young group.
Exactly, a young group. You know, experience will come as the season goes on, and you know, you talk about now versus later in the season. It's okay to make mistakes. You don't want to make too many of them.
Russell turns around, still pulls up, short. Kennedy Brown now with 5 rebounds. Taina Mayer with 2 points, pulls up from 3, and is now 1 for 4 from the floor. Another steal by Cochran. Has to send it out, ask for it back, the fadeaway, money ball.
I love it. She can score in so many ways. She's a smooth operator in the paint. If she's not bullying you down there and backing you up, she's got a smooth, pretty fadeaway short jumper.
They said they wanted to make sure that she knew she was going to be heavily relied on in this season. 4-year starter for Louisville, as that's another turnover for Duke.
Yeah, Cochran really worked hard in the offseason, and I love it. How pretty is that? The fadeaway jumper.
And you're looking at her numbers as she's continuously progressed throughout her season. She's now asked to make more attempts and be a better offensive scorer as well. So at times they're like, we need you to score like 10 to 12 points. And she's like, let me figure this out as a leader first. But definitely someone heavily relied on as Sydney Taylor saw a lane and took it, gets fouled.
Have another look at it. Sydney Taylor here just on the baseline drive, took advantage of the poor closeout and just very aggressive in her attack. And this is what Louisville has to continue to do, just to continue to attack downhill. Don't shy away from the contact from the length of Duke.
Well, Sunday afternoon right here on ACC Network, we'll have a women's basketball quadruple header. 13th ranked Virginia Tech hosts number 3 NC State to start the day at noon Eastern. Then it's Georgia Tech Pittsburgh. Number 22 Florida State and Clemson, and the day is capped off by 6 Eastern by BC. And number 5 25 Syracuse. That whole time I'm thinking about, what about the talent in the ACC? Syracuse getting the win over Notre Dame. Pitt, and that game against Notre Dame as well, coming down to the last part of the game. But so much talent within this league from top to bottom that both sides talked about.
Absolutely, so much talent. No one is safe, Angel, and we saw it in our opener for ACC conference. I mean, if you're a fan of the ACC, you're in for an absolute treat, because just so much talent across the board. It makes it so exciting.
No one is safe, of course. Well, Duke knows that as well. Behind the back, Harris gets it. Can't finish at the rim. That would have been a beauty. Duke trying to capitalize. Richardson outside 3 off the mark, and for a team that has done a lot better, averages about 6 threes per game, struggling from outside. Ricard's mid-range game is on point though, and Duke calls the timeout to fine-tune some things as Louisville with a double-digit lead.
What even is this?
Louisville firing on all cylinders, and a big part of that is because of the healthy balance they've had in scoring, not just throughout the season, but in this game as well, as they have 3 players with 6 or more points.
Exactly. You see Jefferson, Cochran, Taylor all really producing on the offensive end, and these are both teams that rely on that balanced scoring. So then you talk about on the flip side with Duke, you have Olivia Cochran was the only player with 7 points. Other players coming in at 2 points behind her, so Duke's going to really look to see some production coming from the other players on the floor.
Louisville has outscored Duke 9-0 since the 1 minute mark of the first quarter, and Duke's still looking for their first points of the second quarter, as we're about a minute away from being halfway through this one. Kennedy Brown turns around, covered by Nyla Harris. Mayer's been quiet through this ball game, 1 for 4 from the field. 2 left. Jackson sends it off. Reagan had to heave it, and another shot clock violation, and that's something that Jeff Walz is ecstatic about.
As he should be. What a play to get a team to get down to the wire, not able to get a shot off.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't with Vanessa De Jesus being out for Duke, the longest tenured player at Duke. And Carol Lawson mentioned just like how huge it is not having her on the floor with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge period just not to have your only vet, but then also the floor general, someone who leads the offense, who knows what Coach Lawson is looking for in her offensive attack.
Had a knee injury in July, so missing the rest of this season. As Mayer will take a trip to the bench. Ricard's got it back from out of bounds, knocks it down.
Yeah, great execution on the inbound play.
What's impressed you most about how Louisville has been able to implement their will in a sense as another offensive foul at the top of the key? This one's going against Duke, and they've had some issues with this in the last few plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really impressive with Louisville, we talked to Coach Walz in the shoot-around, and he talked about they want to take care of the basketball, and just make shots. He pretty much kept it that simple, and that's exactly what they've been doing in this first quarter.
Jane Donovan actually picks up her second there. Five minutes left as Jefferson got some help from Taylor. Richardson was wide open for the leak out, but missed. How about the help side defense for Louisville? Thomas blocked, and here come the Cardinals. How impressive has Louisville been on both ends of the floor?
Yeah, switching up their defense. We can just feel it from over here how stifling that defense is, whether they're in man or in zone, really disrupting Duke's offense.
Jefferson with the take, takes a awkward landing, a little grimace as she's getting up, but defense everywhere for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and how about the help there from Harris, and then able to get on the other end? I mean, this is exactly what Louisville does well, getting defensive stops and converting on the other end.
Forced turnovers, how about that as well, as you're looking at how Louisville continues to just find ways to be better every single game on the defensive end. I thought it was very interesting how Jeff Walz said, yeah, we can turn players over, we can turn teams over, but the next step for them is how they can also blitz, in a sense, their field goal percentage. And he was not happy with when they shoot, they're above 40%. They've done a lot better in the second quarter.
No, absolutely.
Duke shooting right now 35% from the floor, have yet to score in the second quarter as Kiki Jefferson steps up for 2 free throws. Kara Lawson just searching for some type of answer. Knocks them both down. Louisville 27th in the NCAA for free throw percentage as well. So not only are they getting there, doing a good job of knocking them down when they step up. Jefferson takes the break. You can see her at the end of the bench too. She's pointing to her leg, getting some attention from the athletic trainers at the end of the bench. Working on that right knee area. Duke gets it back, but right now, 14 turnovers with a little under 4 minutes left in the first half is not what Kara Lawson wants from this group.
I mean, you got to credit the Cardinal defense, but also with Duke, they're just a little bit rattled.
Okonowa gets it back. And has gone cold after those early 7 points in the first quarter. Kennedy Brown held up by Ricards and a little strong. And who else? And Olivia Cochran comes in for the rebound, and it's almost like if you can infuse her energy, her passion throughout the entire team at this point, she tries to do everything to be that spark off the bench.
No, absolutely, and with that attack with Brown, I wish I would have seen her attack it all the way to the basket. You didn't need her cards on you. She has a significant size advantage over it, so I wasn't too fond of that fadeaway jumper.
Sydney Taylor picks up her second personal foul. She'll head to the bench. Louisville with a 15-point lead. Outside three, a bit strong for Richardson.
1 of 9 now. Duke really struggling shooting from outside.
This is coming off of a game where they knocked down 8, or 8 for 14 against Boston College. So Nyla Harris picks up her second, third team foul for Louisville. What was the term that you used when we were talking about the turnovers for Duke? You said they're not poised, just seemed a little rattled. What do you want to see to close out this half?
They just got to calm down, get settled in. Not sure when it's going to come. If it's going to come in the second half, Coach Lawson might have to talk to them in the locker room. But, I mean, this is expected from freshmen. But, again, they're not shy of this caliber of play. But you're playing in a tough Yum Center. You're playing on the road. You've got Louisville with this stifling defense. But they just need to calm down, stay poised, take a beat, keep the ball moving around. That's all it takes.
Ashlyn Jackson picks up her second foul. That sends Russell to the free throw line. Louisville outscoring Duke 11-0 in the second quarter. Eight turnovers for Duke as well. You can't score without the ball, and they've had a hard time hanging on to it.
Turnovers, empty possessions, that's what's been plaguing Duke.
Getting back as well, Ricards, as she gets fouled at the rim by Lucci.
You talk about rookie mistakes, that's an example of one of them.
But it seems like the communication as well. Knowing in transition defense, that just has to be there. All right, well, ACC PM with Mark Packer and Taylor Tannenbaum weekdays from Mark's Charlotte studio in his basement. That's always great. At 4 Eastern, they'll continue talking college football and have the latest from around the conference right here on the AC Network and the ESPN app. You definitely don't want to miss it. I always love tuning in to that show as well, breaking down everything that's gone on within the conference. Olivia Cochran gets it at the top of the key. So Ricards was trying to free up. Olivia Cochran actually picks up her second personal foul.
In the game for the Cardinals, number 30, Jada Curry. Replacing number 15,
So Jada Curry checks into the ball game.
Replacing number 3, Ashlyn Jackson.
Jada Curry, as we mentioned, honored at the beginning of the game for scoring her 1,000th point, rocking the number 30 as well. No relation to Steph Curry, but that is her favorite player. And against Miami, when they gave them their first loss at home in 19 tries, she was definitely a little Steph. So another turnover for Duke. That will lead to 16, but let's take a look at Jada Curry. 19 points against Miami, was definitely the player of the game, walked away as the game highest scorer as well.
I mean, we talked about Jefferson in the open, but again, a balanced attack that the Cardinals have this season. Anyone, any given night, can lead the crew in scoring.
Kaina Mayer, almost a sigh of relief for Duke as they get their first points of the second quarter with 90 seconds left in this half.
And Mayer's someone that I really want to see step up more in terms of production.
The pace picking up for Duke. Richardson at the rim.
That's what Duke does, stop the score.
Richardson now with 4 points. She's 2 for 5 from the field in her 17 minutes of play. Minute left, Taylor. Harris rather blocked at the rim. That's the link, Camilla Emsbo. Actually, the transfer in, the grad transfer from Yale, the transfer from Yale. Curry finds a spot on the floor she likes. Knocks down the first points for her.
The confidence that she shoots it with, such a pretty shot. Looking like Curry out there herself.
Oh no, she's looking more like Jada Curry, if you ask me. Mayer looking to respond. A lot of contact and blocked at the rim by Love. We knew Duke was a team ranked nationally, 7th in blocks, also leading the league in blocks. But don't count out Louisville as well.
No, absolutely. They've got some length to them, some length and athleticism. And how about the block from Love? Emsbo got one. She said, hey, I can get one too. So I got your back.
That was the type of player you were. It's good to see Kiki Jefferson checking back in. We saw her take that awkward fall right before she shot the free throws, getting worked on at the end of the bench. The last 32 seconds of this half. So about a 2-second difference between game and shot clock. Mayer looking for some type of opening. Cable pulls up from the free throw line. Cochran pulls it down. 3 seconds to work with. She'll need to heave it. She got it off, but a little too strong, as that will bring it to a close here in the first half. It's been a program win. Coach Walz said he's hungry to get it, and for them to do that in front of their home crowd as well would be pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. You talk about coming in and playing with a chip on your shoulder.
Duke with 16 turnovers in the first half. That means over the past 2 games, to this point, they've had 44 total turnovers, and that's something that just has to change for the Blue Devils.
And one thing that's so tough mentally, especially given that this is such a young team, is just being able to collect yourself together. But I mean, hey, Brown said, listen, it's not going to be tough. We're going to get it done.
Kennedy Brown knocks that one down for the first points of the second half. Kennedy Brown, who has scored in double figures in 3 of their last 4 ball games. Coach said, most importantly, she's their best defender, hands down. So they need a little bit more of that to start the second half. Less than 10 on the shot clock for the Cardinals. Contact underneath. Cochran takes a fall. And it looks like this foul will go against Kennedy Brown.
I mean, despite the foul, I do love defensive effort by Duke. Doing a really good job blowing up the handoffs, not allowing Louisville to go downhill and get an easy attack to the basket.
That will be Kennedy's first foul. Cochran has that one-on-one ISO, fades away. My goodness, that's just nasty.
Shots looking really good.
Olivia Cochran, second on the team in points, leads the team in rebounds, steals, and blocks. Just a Swiss Army knife, does everything, as Donovan was pushed in the back on that backdoor attempt. So Ricards picks up her 3rd personal, as we have Jada Curry checking into the ball game for Ricards. So 4 points for Duke in the second quarter. 9 was their lowest scoring quarter. That was done 3 times already. Less than 10 again. We've seen this time and time again for Duke. Shooting or a last-second heave. Jackson, top of the key. There was a lot of contact there, too. And the officials just miss it as Jackson couldn't connect. Sydney Taylor already with 6 points, knocked down the triple early in the ball game. Sydney Taylor, nationally one of the best three-point shooters coming in from UMass. Had 107 threes last year as Mayer off the bounce. You kind of sense they need a little bit more of that sense of urgency to the rim.
Absolutely, sense of urgency and just aggressiveness. Keep attacking downhill. I love that aggressive attack into the paint.
Olivia Cochran checks into the ball game for Richardson.
Yeah, Mayer, a player that scores in bunches. She gets her teammates open, but when you need her to create for herself, she's going to step up and do that. And that's exactly what Duke needs.
We talked about the aggressiveness. These are the first free throws of the ball game for Duke. Our conversation with Kara Lawson, she told us, look, the way we score, we have to make sure that we're in the paint. Our emphasis and our eyes have to be in the paint. As Mayer couldn't knock down the second. They do get it back, though. Mayer, Euro step, just misses it. Kennedy Brown couldn't connect. Third attempt for Duke. And it's coughed up.
Got to get into Cochran. There we go.
Dish pass. Harris at the rim. Finish was nice, but the pass was even better.
No, absolutely, and I love the way Cochran and Harris play off of each other. We see them a lot playing in the short corner, low post, high post, low post. They play so well off each other, and how about the read by Cochran and the cut by Harris?
About 13 assists per game for Louisville. Right now, they're sitting at 8 on 15 made field goals.
Cochran on the attack baseline finds Harris. Excellent cut into the paint. Nothing I love to see more than a post-to-post pass, and this one is just pretty.
It's a lot of adjectives we can have for that pass. As Olivia Cochran, never pleased. I don't know what she didn't like there. Maybe it's because she just picked up her first personal foul there. But Jackson will get a look at 2 free throws. So back-to-back opportunities for Duke at the charity stripe. Mini huddle with Jeff Walz and a couple of the Cardinals at half court. So we talked about how well both teams did from the free throw line. Duke coming in shooting close to 78% from the free throw line. And right now they're just 1 for 4. Cough it up again. Inside, that's tipped away by Jackson. Eight turnovers for Louisville, but it just continues to go back to them on the other end.
Yeah, absolutely. Duke just looking a little uncharacteristic. Very different from how we saw them look on Sunday against Boston College.
20 turnovers for Duke, and to make matters worse, they've had 3 turnovers in the last minute and a half and no field goals in the last 3 minutes. So a bit of a hockey substitution here. Duke shooting 25% from the field in this half. And there's a little bit of contact on this end. We'll see if it's on the floor. They didn't signal that it was going to be 2. So 17-point lead for Louisville, who just came off of an impressive win against Miami. We are all shook right now, too, because how about Boston College taking down Miami tonight as well? We had an overtime game between Florida State, NC State. Oh, my goodness. Like,
I mean, what did I say earlier? No one is safe in the ACC. I'm telling you. But it just makes it all the more fun to watch, to call. I mean, such a strong conference.
I believe 6, maybe 7 teams are in the top 25, the AP top 25, and a couple of teams getting votes as well. The duck in underneath by Emsbo and just a disconnect. Curry pulls up in the paint, pouring it on. Largest lead of the game by Louisville.
I mean, the energy is just not stopping for the Cars either. They're just going to keep putting their foot on the gas.
Much needed bucket for Duke. Cochran power dribble off the glass. That old school game by Olivia Cochran forces a turnover, and the crowd on their feet here at the KFC Yum Center. Louisville taking care of business. The look that they wanted to this point. Still a lot of time left, but got to see some different looks on the offensive end, starting with taking care of the ball.
Yeah, taking care of the ball. Want to see some more balanced scoring. That's when they're good, when they're taking care of the ball, and when they have balance, they're moving it around, multiple players in double figures.
Executed to perfection. Lucia Kanawa able to get the and one. So on the other side of this media timeout, we'll have a free throw for Duke. Stick around.
These are my tissue box covers.
Defense. She has 6 steals per game. How impressive is that? And then we gotta shout out Syracuse as one of the sleeper teams as they upset Notre Dame in that first game. They've been doing really well, able to kind of step their foot into that top 25. Just an impressive team.
Harris tried to find some space, couldn't over the length of Camilla Emsbo, standing at 6'5". Dish pass underneath Harris again, and this time is able to draw the foul. Well, it's terrifying Thursday, so it's been pretty scary in the ACC today.
Absolutely scary. You have some teams just escaping losses, and then, I mean, we keep saying it, no one is safe. I mean, look at that. Seminole scaring the Wolfpack. A 22 almost upsetting a 23, I mean, a 22 almost upsetting a number 3 seed. Boston College upsetting Miami.
That's back-to-back losses for Miami. Georgia Tech coming along as well, coming back, and Nell Fortner mentioning just the amount of talent she had from the freshman class as well. Really excited about piecing things together for Georgia Tech, and they come up with the win over UVA, but I can't wait to watch that game back between NC State and Florida State. I mean, no number in front of the school can do it justice as far as how tough those games are going to be. I can just call Debbie Antonelli, and she was on that call, and break it down for us as well. So Tahina Mayer was looking for an extra opportunity for Duke, instead falls out of bounds, so it will be sent to Louisville. Tahina Mayer has been seen better days from the floor. 2 for 8, 5 points, 0 for 3 from distance.
Gotta get into Cochran.
Emsbo outstretched hands. And a travel will be called, so that'll send it back to Duke. 10th turnover for Louisville. We talked about the turnovers for Louisville was Jeff Walz, and he said, hey, around that 10, 12, 14 area, I'm okay with. But we have to make sure they're dead ball turnovers as well, as Duke is able to score on the other end, that one coming from Emsbo. Back-to-back turnovers, Curry coughs that one up. The dish inside, Emsbo short on the layup. Taylor wanted to send it up the floor, but that would have been to the towel boy.
Yeah, Duke not able to convert on the offensive end, but like you said, that's the exact type of turnover that coach does not want. One in the open court that allows a team to have that chance in transition.
So Tiana Mayer actually picks up her third personal, as she will be taking another trip to the bench. It's been just a strange flow for Duke throughout this ball game.
Yeah, an off night throughout the entire roster.
But it's very interesting, though, because after the first quarter, just down 6 to Louisville, 21-15. Both teams are shooting 40% or better from the field, and it was a lot different from that point as Olivia Cochran gets the and one all heart.
I mean, I love Cochran's game. She is so versatile off the bounce with the spin move, the and one, the little flutter leg on the baseline. I love to see it. How about the finish?
How about the celebration, though?
Bench is happy, too. I ain't mad at that.
I mean, we got to mention what she told us at shoot-around as well. She said, I wanted to make sure I was getting more conditioning in, extra conditioning, knowing that I wanted to be and had to be on the floor more for the team. She said she's down these 10 pounds as well, more tone. She said, for me, I understand the best way to lead is by action.
Exactly. And to take ownership like that shows how much of a team player you are, shows growth, shows maturity, and that's why she's able to make the shots that she's making. When you're in shape, you're able to play defense, you're able to play offense, you're able to be more efficient.
Played and started every game last season. The 4-year starter as well, and this team is hers as Russell knocks that one down. A little bit of friendly fire as Cochran needs some help off the floor as well. So a 30-second timeout called. There's a couple of chuckles on the sideline, but where do we go from here? Louisville shooting 45% in the game, but 58% this half.
I mean, everything's just clicking on all cylinders for the Cardinals on both ends. Doing an absolute great job disrupting on the defensive end, executing in their actions, executing in the scouting report, and then able to convert on the other end, whether it's in transition or it's in the half court, just energy on both ends of the court.
And we have to go to Duke, too, because our conversation with Coach Lawson, she said, this is not the same team that I had last season, and everyone will look at how we have been and how our foundation has been in defense. Last season, they were #2 in scoring defense, #9 in field goal percentage defense, top 10 in blocks. This year, yes, they have held 12 of their 13 opponents below their season scoring average. But she said it's hard to be consistent. And trying to find that and then being tested in this harsh environment as well, a place they have yet to win in.
Well, can I tell you what it is? They have so many babies, so many freshmen on this roster, right? So when you're coming out of high school, the defensive principles are nowhere near the same. So they're still learning. So when you talk about gaining that experience towards the end of this season, going into next year, they're going to look a lot differently defensively and with what they have coming in as well.
She said 4 of her players have actually played for her for more than 1 year. She said the consistency she envies in a sense that, you know, Virginia Tech can have a roster where everyone comes back and is playing. Florida State has a team that comes back and is playing together. So that continuity is really important to her in this roster.
I mean, with the way the transfer rules are and how hot the transfer portal is, having those experienced players who've been there for a while, that's a luxury nowadays. Something you can't take for granted in programs.
Olivia Cochran gets a well-deserved standing ovation as we have 1:12 left in the third quarter. Olivia Cochran with 13 points, 5 rebounds in the 24 minutes of play. Less than 10, Richardson looking for something. 2 on the shot clock. Emsbo off the back iron, just rolls in.
I mean, great finish by Emsbo, but you saw that defensive effort by Louisville everywhere. Help sides coming, hands are high, just making it tough shots.
Jackson like, what more do you want me to do? Thought that could have gone the other way as she picks up the foul there. 2 free throws on the way for the Cardinals. 29 seconds left in the third quarter. Well, tonight at 10 Eastern, after our women's basketball doubleheader, the Nothing But Net crew will break down the night in the ACC with highlights and analysis of every women's game and look ahead at the best matchups on the schedule in the coming week. That's coverage you can only find in one place right here on the ACC network and the ESPN app. That crew is elite.
Elite crew, great looking crew. Great
elite crew.
Gotta tune in.
Jackson holding on for the last shot of this quarter. Ricard's face guarding Richardson. She still finds the ball. Blocked at the rim. My. Harris.
The starter for Cards, yeah, with that great great perimeter defense. But then how about it? Harris coming in for the help.
0.2 left. Not enough time for the shot to get off, and that will do it for the first 3 frames of this basketball game. This is the lowest point scored through 3/4% this season that they've allowed for their opponents. And Jeff Walz said, that is not good enough. I'm challenging them every night to be better than that. Would you say they're delivering tonight?
I would say so.
You've been a part of defensive teams as well, and what just sets you apart, like how you feel and how you implement yourself on the defensive end?
I mean, it starts with effort. Starts with effort. Then you got to talk about locking in on scouting reports, playing together, everybody kind of moving on a string, high hands, being active, and Louisville showing that all around. I mean, they look like the defensive team that I know Coach wants to see.
Season low by a Louisville opponent this year is 33. Right now, 31 for Duke. A slow start in that second quarter. But we talked about defensive effort and 11 players that left Louisville. How about one that stayed as well? Mikasa Robinson on the bench. So one of the grad assistants. I tell you what, watching them last year, I know a lot of attention went to Haley Van Lith, but Mikasa Robinson as well as Olivia Cochran were the heartbeat defensively for this group.
Yeah, I mean, spot on with that. And you talk about that front and backcourt duo, getting it done on defensive end. It was huge for the Cardinals last season.
There were times just even, listening into the huddle, and she was the loudest voice, and you could tell that this was going to be a future coach. Very high IQ. I mean, we talk about one of those fighter mentalities, just built different, and Jeff Walz definitely agrees in that regard. 5 seconds for Louisville to get a shot off.
Shot clock violation, blue double ball.
I believe that's the 13th turnover for Louisville. Taina Mayer, who actually led the league in assists last year. We asked Coach what she liked about what she brought to the team. She said, I love how she makes other people better. At some point, we got to see more, or would like to close this game out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Mare just with an off night, all around an off night for Duke. Have another look at the charge here. Great job by Harris stepping in.
So Ashlyn Jackson picks up her 4th foul. Subs out of the ball game as well. Looked like a clean block up top for Jaden Donovan. Jaden Donovan just 1 for 3 from the field. Another tough night for her as well, as she now picks up her 4th personal foul and has a discussion with Kara Lawson on the side. Thought it was interesting. She said, you know, when you're dealing with a lot of freshmen, come in and the prep is a little different. You're like, this is how you turn opponents. This is where you need to put your foot on the baseline. Next year, it's going to have to be a little bit different and a little quicker on how they get that information and retain it.
No, absolutely. You know, when you're a freshman, you got to start with a simple, basic fundamentals. As I said before, it's a completely, you're in a grown women's game now. This is completely different. This isn't high school anymore. So different elements on both ends of the floor are different, and that's what the freshmen are getting used to, and that's what Coach Lawson has to do in terms of breaking things down.
Reagan Richardson just beside herself, upset about the contact inside as she's called for the charge. There is no restriction zone for women's basketball, but slid in. Looked like she was still moving a little bit.
Yeah, I thought she was still moving.
But I guess even the more interesting aspect of that is that there were 2 bodies there.
Yeah, 2 bodies.
So that explains, too, just how, to your point, you said Louisville has been on a string. If someone's driving, there's bodies meeting them in the paint.
No, every time a player's had the ball and has driven, there has always been at least 2 defenders there for help, collapsing in, really being disruptive and causing havoc.
At the line for the Cardinals, number 12, Kiki Jefferson. She'll shoot.
So the Cardinals with a convincing lead, but if you're looking at the stat line, there's only 2 players in double figures, and it's just evenly dispersed. There's just been 1 player that has not been able to score yet.
Which is such a luxury and such a different look offensively for the Cardinals when you talk about the scoring production. This is a program within different seasons, typically always have 1 or 2 star players. We talk about offensive production, but now you have that balanced attack, such a luxury, because any given night, someone can step up and take the lead.
Konawa off the bounce. Once again, met by bodies, but able to get that one over some outstretched hands inside. 10 points now, the only player in double figures for Duke. It's almost like a Mike Tuttle. We can hear Jeff Walz, you know, talking about where he needs his team on the floor, despite the lead that they have right now, continuing to want to get better. Mayer tracks it down. Kennedy Brown was able to get it. Konawa. And the baseline drive, that's good. So Delaney Thomas able to knock that one in. That's going to be her first bucket of the ball game. Delaney Thomas at 14 points versus Stanford. And they scored double figures 3 times, but as much as we can say that about the players down the roster for Duke, it's just been one of those nights where they have not been able to find a rhythm offensively. Stripped, Mayer able to get a hand on it. Konawa able to finish at the rim.
Yeah, back-to-back buckets. That's exactly what she does. We talked about providing The spark.
We see a litany of players at the scorer's table looking to check in at the next dead ball as Ricards works her way around that screen at the top. Mayer. I tell you what, the one thing that you can't say about Taina Mayer, back-to-back opportunities on the defensive end where she got a hand on the ball.
Oh yeah, she's a fighter. I mean, this entire Duke squad is. That's the one thing when you have younger kids, you can't teach the effort and the fight. That's the least they can do. When you don't have the experience, you still have to grow. When you talk about skill set and stuff like that, the foundation is just the absolute effort and just working hard. And that's what they do. And that's what you're seeing here.
She's an absolutely special player. I remember at the time covering them when they were going against Florida State. At the time, Tanaya Latson was just taking in all the accolades for Freshman of the Week. Barnaby McNamee said, you know what, I have a freshman as well that deserves some acknowledgement. She said, okay, well, we just have to win. And that day, they were able to upset Florida State at home. And who walks away with the Freshman of the Week award? Taina Mayer. Jackson at the free throw line, and just a struggle from the free throw line for Duke tonight. Just their 6th attempt. 2 for 6. Now 3 for 7. Blue Devils came into this one on a 4-game winning streak, dropped their first ACC game against Clemson, 80-64. That was back in December. Won against Boston College, and Cardinals right now with a big advantage with a little less than 5 minutes to play in this ballgame.
These are my tissue.
And it's just impressive, you know, what they've been able to do within their careers. Kiki Jefferson really trusting Jeff Walz to take her talent to the next level as the grad student here in Louisville. It's just been fun to watch them, you know, display that. And I'll say this too, when you have 5 1,000-point scorers on your roster, you almost question, how is this gonna work? What is the chemistry gonna look like? Are there enough balls to go around for everyone? It has worked for them.
Remember, Coach Walz, he talked about maturity. We asked them, you know, what it's like for players who are stars at their programs to come in and kind of get settled in and get used to playing different roles and getting used to the fact that different players might have a great night. Some players might not have a great night. And that's exactly what he said. He talked about the maturity. He said it's all maturity. They came in, they know what their role is, they're bought in, and they're supportive of one another.
Jada Curry, I thought it was very funny. He was talking about her not shooting a lot when she first came in, and he said, this is the player that I wanted from Cal. You come in, I'm thinking I'm getting this type of player. He joked with her parents, actually, and said, you know what, I think you might want to come to the games during pregame and halftime, because that's the only time that she's going to score. So that's the only time that she's shooting, and now she has just been absolutely insane about what she's been able to do so far here with Louisville.
Okay, it's just a matter of getting acclimated, getting adjusted. And then you talk about coming into such a strong conference. I mean, this is a completely different conference than what she's used to playing in. So the scoring's gonna come different. It's gonna be a bit tougher.
And might I reiterate, Jeff Walz in his program said, we don't rebuild, we reload.
Well, reload is an understatement.
Taina Mayer picks up her 4th personal foul. And Sydney Taylor steps up to the free throw line for the 2nd time tonight. That rims out. She's 1 for 2. Sitting at 6 points. Most of those in the first half. Sydney Taylor in double figures in 4 of the last 5 games. Right now sitting at 7. Struggled from the floor for the last 2 games. At 2 points versus Miami and 8 at Washington as Olivia Cochran. Anytime she takes a trip to the bench, she's going to get an ovation. You know, you have to speak to it as well, just in the time of you know, players that can leave at any moment, right, and can transfer out and say, I'm going to take my talents elsewhere. Olivia Cochran has decided and chose to stay here and be woven within this program and what they're trying to build and do, and continuously, you know, have their name in the top 15, top 20 ranks. They were a team that was in the Elite Eight last year.
Absolutely, just a player that's bought in, sees the big picture, sees growth in her own game.
I thought Easton Bulolu was gonna get her first bucket. It's actually gonna go against Louisville, and Duke will get the ball back. Reagan Richardson actually needed to check in. She'll come in for Jackson. So a tick less than 3 minutes to play in this ball game, with Duke actually outscoring Louisville 10-7 in this final frame. Mayer, back iron. That was the third attempt for Duke.
Foul on the Cardinals, number 30, Jaden Curry, for second. Team 4.
So Duke actually out rebounding Louisville 34-30. And most of them coming from the offensive rebounds, 16-11. Mayer outside, in and out. Mayer just mishandled it, goes off the leg, and it'll go back to Louisville. I think another thing, we got to look back at that second quarter and we say, what's going on for Louisville on the defensive end? But offensively, defensively, they've put both sides together, but they've outscored their opponents in the second quarter all season. A combined 109 points more in the second quarter that they've scored than their opponents this year. So you mentioned Duke had one of the toughest schedules this season in the country. And the USA basketball, try that for the first couple of games. Hey, you got to face off against Diana Taurasi. Good luck. Also played South Carolina, UConn as well. And here's what's at bay. So you got Virginia, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, NC State, Florida State. That's what rounds out their last 3 games, and that's 5-game stretch. And those last 3 games are teams that are all ranked.
When you talk about a tough stretch, this is something that they've seen. You talked about in non-conference with their tough non-conference schedule that they had, especially with those games being on the road. But again, the biggest thing with Duke is just the consistency. They haven't been a consistent team. Coach Lawson said the consistency is just something that has been tough for them, is hard for them to find.
Got an impressive win in the inaugural SEC ACC Challenge, though.
I had that game against Georgia.
Yeah. Both teams, actually. Louisville taking down Ole Miss. It's fun to see new things, fresh things and takes in women's basketball. 2 to left on the shot clock as we have the jump ball going back to Duke. So as you start to look forward to what's next, how do you reset? What needs to be done a little bit differently? Starting with Duke, what are some quick thoughts about like how they have the quick turnaround, especially in ACC play?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with Duke is just consistency on both ends. I've noticed, you know, when watching them play, they're getting it done on one end, but not the other. Tonight, it's just the offense, a super cold night.
Richardson with the steal and the bucket.
And then you talk about the Cards. I mean, if they continue to play like this night in, night out, they are going to have a successful season.
Started off ACC play. They are 10-0 in their ACC openers, looking to get their second one here tonight. their next game will actually be against Pitt. That's going to be next Thursday, so they have a whole week off. And that's some time that they've had because they had 5 days off for the Christmas break. Coach said, I want them to understand that balance, and you can tell this is a team that is fresh and that has the trust of Jeff Walz as they will dribble this one out with 13 seconds left as the inevitable will happen here with the Duke Blue Devils falling to 9-5 on the season and are now below 500 in ACC play. Louisville, on the other hand, will go on to beat 13-2